How's it, guys? In celebration of reaching 40,000 subscribers, I am finally doing a Q&A. I asked you guys to post comments in my previous video, and then I also asked everyone on Twitter. Before we get started, I'm going to explain a few things, which is ironic because one of those things is that I tend to over-explain things. I might give you even more information than you were actually asking for. And the second thing is, because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little cheat sheet. So down below in the description, I'm going to have a timestamp, which you can click on, and then the corresponding question. So then you can skip to the next question by just clicking on the timestamp, and that'll hopefully save anybody who's not interested in hearing the over-explained stuff like I'm doing now. They can just skip on to the next question. Good idea? Yeah? No? Yeah? I think it's a good idea. Okay, let's get these questions up. Okay, Twitter. So I haven't seen any of the questions on Twitter. That's so many. Okay, there are a lot of questions, which is really nice because then I get to choose the best ones. I'm going to actually go to my tweet and then just read the replies off in order that people replied. So if you replied first, then you get preference. That's just how it's going to be. Okay, first question from @glittergift. You have seen the behind the scenes of many YouTube personalities. When you see that, does it alter the way you perceive them? I feel like the YouTube personalities that I hang around are very real. On YouTube is pretty much how they are in real life. It's more just a case of they're more relaxed. They're not having to make the effort to kind of keep the energy levels up and keep an audience entertained. So in summary, no, it doesn't alter the way I perceive them because a lot of the people that I know from YouTube are like that in real life. Okay, next question. Now this one I know is going to come up a lot, so I'm just going to nip it in the bud. Secret pocket, okay, where does SP come from? It's a secret story. Well, it's not a secret story, but it's a story that I haven't really told anyone. I think I've told like 2 or 3 people at meetups possibly, and I'm going to save that one. That's going to be my 100,000 subscriber reveal. I'm saving that one for there. So if you really want to know that, help me get to 100k so that I can get a little play button. That means YouTube validates me and says good job on putting up the videos on our platform and helping us make money and making money along the way for yourself. So 100k, I will reveal what secret pocket means, where it came from. @Jake Redican asks, who'd win in a fight, Mr. Ben Brown or Jeremy Loops? Sorry Ben, if you're watching this, but I think Jeremy Loops would win in a fight, only because I know he goes to like kickboxing training and he does all sorts of like, that's his gym. He goes and boxes and stuff. So Jeremy would win if it was a legal fight. If it was like an illegal street fight, then it would probably be even, I reckon. I'd call it even Stevens. Either one, whoever gets in the first good punch would probably win that one. Okay, Eduardo Abreu 11 asks, hey SP, big fan here. What would be your biggest advice for someone who wants to start a filmmaking photography career from scratch? That's a big question, good question, but you're asking the wrong person here, because I landed with my bum in the butter when it comes to being able to make a career out of filmmaking and photography. So I can't really give you any tips other than just work on yourself, work on the quality that you're putting out, as opposed to trying to just build a following. So if you want to do party photos, if you want to do event photos, go to events, take your camera. Your friends' parties, any university parties, whatever, just go with your camera, make films if you want to do something like that. Otherwise, if it's nature, adventure, outdoor type stuff that you want to do, then just go out and do that kind of stuff. Like, you don't need to be paid to do the work if you love the work. It's about just putting in the hours, practicing, honing in on your techniques, and just working until you get an end product that you're happy with. With the way that I started on YouTube, I put out my first cooking video and that took me like 3 weeks to edit because I just wanted it to be perfect. With doing daily vlogs, now I just mash out the vlog and I'm like, if it's not the best one, it's not the best one. Put it out there, work harder on the next one, you know. So that's my advice for that. @JSoftly asks, what countries do you wish to visit in the next 5 years? Oh, okay. Good question, actually. I don't really have a bucket list of countries that I want to visit. I've actually got one of these little scratch maps that I still haven't put up, that Sav got me when we first started dating. I thought I'd been to a lot of countries, but when you scratch them off physically, you haven't been to a lot of countries, even if you think you have. I'd love to do like the Scandinavian countries. I wouldn't mind going to New Zealand. I wouldn't mind going to some of the out there countries. So I wouldn't mind going to like North Korea just to see what it's like. And I know I probably won't get a fair kind of image of it, and I'll probably be, you know, given some sort of display, and it'll be like, this is what North Korea looks like, and I'll be like, oh, cool. But I'm interested to see what that display is. I'd love to go to China. I'd love to do pretty much all of Asia. I'd love to do all of South America. So it's difficult. All the countries. Which countries do you want to see in the next 5 years? All the countries. Katie Bailey asks, when are we going to get a cooking collab with you and Debbie Brownie? Good question. Debbie, if you're watching, when are we doing that? I need to come over to the UK, obviously. And you guys have moved, which makes it harder to get to you, but we'll make a plan. We'll do a cooking collab. At Just One Koala asks, would you ever move to Poland? To be honest, I probably wouldn't ever move to Poland. Yeah, I just don't see myself ever moving there. I like South Africa too much, I think. At Jack Sumner 96 asks, SP merch with a question mark? And then the eyes emoji. Yeah, maybe sometime in the future. I've done it with Ben before, so I know the effort that goes into it. Yeah, I don't think that's going to come anytime soon. What would be your advice to someone feeling a bit stuck in life, not knowing where to go next? Yo, deep question, Camilla. My advice would be, don't rush things. That's my one piece of advice that I would give. Don't rush things. It's interesting to say as someone who is on social media and puts their life on social media, but don't look at social media as a gauge for where you should be in your life. Stuff will happen. Stuff changes all the time. There's no point in worrying about things that are going to maybe happen in the future. I'm not very good at giving life advice. I wouldn't think so, unless I know your specific situation. So I'm going to leave that one there. Otherwise, I could be here for like an hour just going in circles. At Life of TSH asks, as a South African creator, I find it so hard for South Africans to grow. Why do you think that is? I've thought about this a lot, obviously, as I'm a South African creator, but my audience is predominantly overseas, mainly US, UK, and Canada. For me, the reason why it's difficult to grow a following in South Africa is, in my opinion, because of the cost of data. As a South African creator, what you're doing is you're putting stuff online that is going to cost people data to consume, right? If they want to see your Instagram posts, if they want to see your YouTube videos, if they want to watch you on Snapchat or whatever you do. In South Africa, until recently, it's been quite expensive to kind of have high-speed internet that allows you to watch lots of YouTube and have uncapped internet, etc. And I think that high-speed internet access is still a bit of a luxury item in South Africa. That automatically reduces the South African audience to a small group of the people that can afford high-speed internet access, or people that are already invested in watching social media content creators. That means that our population has already been reduced to that size. Okay, now you've got, what's the population of South Africa? It's like 56 million or something. I think it's just under 60 million. So from the 60 million, now you're taking, let's say 10% of that. You've got 5 to 6 million people. That's your entire audience in South Africa that you could possibly reach, or people that you might reach. Okay, enough about that. On to the next one. At George K asks, would you rather be Beyonce or Rihanna? Why? Beyonce. She's the queen. At sliceofmatt asks, favorite country in Africa besides South Africa and why? Okay, I haven't done a lot of African countries, which is quite bad, I know, because that's my doorstep. But I would have to go with Zambia. Hands down Zambia. The people were just so friendly, feeling that welcome, that safe. Everybody's just so nice to you and polite and willing to help you if you need anything. Yeah, hands down Zambia. At Caleb's Nomadic asks, what made you decide to start vlogging? This is a good one. Good question, Caleb. What made me decide to start vlogging was, it was a combination of things. So one of the things was that I'd recently spent a lot of money on my brand new PC. I got that for gaming because I was going to go into gaming videos with the help of Grant Hines, who's a great South African gamer who's now in the UK. He helped me set up my channel and just helped me kind of get started and decide what I was going to do. I'd invested in making videos with this computer because it was a gaming and editing machine. As I kind of did the gaming stuff, I found that I was more inclined to play the games and less inclined to edit the videos. And when it came down to sitting down and editing a video, I was like, ooh, I'll just have a quick game, and next thing you know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you don't have time to edit. Towards the end of last year, end of 2016, one of my best friends, Rory, was moving over to the UK, and I decided that I wanted to capture this Christmas tradition that we had where my family would always go to Rory's house for Christmas Day, and his family would come to my house for Christmas Eve. And this was going to be the last year that we could officially do it because Rory was moving overseas, and you know, I just wanted to do that more for me than for YouTube. But then I was like, oh, it's content and it's nice to share this tradition and what I do around Christmas with other people. So I put that out there. Yeah, it got a pretty good response. And then off the back of those Christmas videos, I was doing Bali over New Year's with Sav. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna go overseas, I'm gonna have this amazing holiday with my girlfriend, and at the end of it, I can have 13, 14 videos that down the line I can look back on and relive that holiday. Like, that's the best thing about vlogging, is being able to look back on the past and have those memories saved and captured. It was also my sister pushing me to do it, as she chimed in now. She was like, oh, people enjoy your humor, this and that. Still gets on my nerves though, my sister. So yeah, that's what made me decide to start vlogging. I know I was very wishy-washy in that explanation, so I hope you can decipher what I was trying to say there. Okay, next question. What company are you building with at Mr. Ben Brown? Just tell me already. Okay, we are building a company called Downright. What I can tell you so far is that it's going to be an apparel brand. So we're going to be selling t-shirts, we're going to be selling hoodies, we're going to be having all of those things. There's other sides to the company as well, but I'm not sure what I can disclose just yet. I'm not trying to keep it a secret to hype it up. The other sides of the company, that's more like a business to business type thing. At Josh Temple 7 asks, cheese or bread? Josh, that is a horrible question because I feel like one's just not the same without the other. But if I had to get rid of one, I'd probably get rid of bread just because cheese is so great. So I'll take the cheese, thanks. At Ellie Reed 9 asks, how did you meet Ben? Okay, now this is a long story, so buckle yourselves in. I'm gonna try and keep it as short and sweet as possible. I ended up making friends with Nicole at university through her group of friends, and she was going on a road trip with just her and just her girlfriends. What I gathered was that Ben had invited himself on this girl's road trip, and one of the other girls ended up pulling out, not because Ben was coming, just so happened that she was pulling out, so they had an extra space. So one of my friends then invited me. So we went on this road trip up to Transkei, and Ben and I met at the Riviersonderend. I'm not sure if it's an engine or a shell, but we met in like, you know, one of those dingy little restaurants in the garage. I think it was a Wimpy. Kind of introduced ourselves. We were like, okay, cool. So this is the other guy that's going to be on the trip. And yeah, and then we had a 2-week trip after that, all the way up to the Transkei. We did J-Bay, we did Plet, Coffee Bay. Off the back of that, we just became instant friends because we got along like a house on fire. There was us and 6 girls. So we either had to get along or it was going to be just a shit trip. Fortunately, we both had a good sense of humor, and that's when he filmed the first visual vibes, the first official visual vibes. It was the road trip. I can't embed the video, so I'm just going to put the thumbnail here. And if I remember, I'll put the link in the description to go watch the video of when we met and Ben's first official visual vibes, the South African road trip. Good question, Ellie Reed. Okay, at Zirfa asks, what is the naughtiest thing you've ever done? That's a dangerous question. I went to a cricket match where I was probably 12 or 13, and I went with a whole bunch of my friends, international test at Newlands, and there was this massive metal gate, and a friend of mine had like climbed on it and was swinging. But now this gate was like suspended above the ground, probably like 2 or 3 meters, and this gate was swinging, and I was like, oh, that looks like fun. So he got off, I climbed on, and I was swinging like a little bit recklessly, and this whole massive metal gate just came off the hinges, but it was like properly broken. And looked around, no one had really noticed what I'd done. All my friends had seen though, obviously. And I kind of looked around like ready to take responsibility if anybody called me out, and no one did, so I just ran away. Always take responsibility for your actions, kids. That's a lesson that I learned from that day. Where is your dream destination? That is a tough question, Nancy. I think right now, like in this moment right now, because it's always changing, I would have to say Italy, just because of the food. Because right now I could really use a pizza or a pasta or something Italian. At iAperture asks, how does South Africa breed more great video content creators like Ben, Louis, Casey, etc.? An important thing for South Africa as a whole in terms of breeding talent, whether it's sports, whether it's music, whether it's video, etc. I think exposure. Because exposure leads to inspiration. So if you grew up watching Ben, Louis, Casey, etc., then they become your inspiration. And you, instead of just copying them when you create your own stuff, you will hopefully draw inspiration from them. Maybe you'll start out being a bit of a copycat, but who cares? If you only have 6 subscribers on YouTube, no one cares if you're copying Casey or Ben or Louis. From that, continue to create your own videos. You will eventually develop your own style. So if you look at when I was still working for Ben, and I think I did in total like 3 or 4 vlog takeovers. Every time that I did a vlog takeover, what I did was I filmed very similar to him. I edited it almost identical to him because that's who I learned from. So Ben was my inspiration in terms of creating video. At Sam Cool Guy Steen asks, if you had to be eaten by any animal, what animal would you want to be eaten by? Interesting question, Sam. Let's think. What are my options? I would probably want to be eaten by a shark because it would probably be over the quickest. At Sathu Moya, I'm gonna guess this guy's name is Matthew Sawyer, asks a lot of questions in a row. Blue or red? Blue. Favorite shape? Square. What's your favorite wet? At Carly1096 asks, what did you want to be when you were younger? When I was younger, I actually wanted to be a mechanical engineer. At Kane_stocks asks, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know. I don't have a big 5-year plan. I don't have a 10-year plan. I'm just taking it as it comes and just hanging out, you know. At Jeffrey R. Thomas, I know this guy, I know Jeffrey. Any plans on coming to the southern US? We hold a tiny golf tourney here you may have heard of in April. I don't have any plans to come to the US, mostly because my US visa has expired. So I'm gonna have to reapply for that, but I'll have to have a trip planned for that. So I would love to. If someone can hook me up, I'll go to a golf tournament in the US. At Aaron LTA asks, what was your very first car? My very first car was a maroon Opel Kadett. Look, it's not the worst color for a car. Only thing is I got it when I was 18, which I'm grateful for, but that also happened to be the color of my school uniform. Here I was in my maroon uniform, riding around in a maroon car. So but yeah, I'd still choose that car over most cars because it was a 1.6 liter, so you know it had some vroom vroom in it. Nabil13 Arif asks, why is it only a slice of mat? Why can't we get the whole cake? Who says it's a cake, Nabil? How do you know it's not a pizza? How do you know it's not a pie? What I will tell you though is that slice of mat originates from, it was my Instagram handle first before I started doing YouTube. It was because my Instagram was only going to be a slice of my life. You're only seeing the highlights really on Instagram. I just realized this whole time that I've been wearing my headphones when I don't need to be. I'm gonna keep these on for continuity. Yeah, see this guy here. At Slice of Kai asks, what keeps you motivated to continue YouTube? To be honest, it's making content that I enjoy. As much as I love people's comments on my YouTube videos, in terms of support, a lot of it comes from, you know, it has to come from within. You can't be expecting other people to be pushing you to work. So I enjoy making content that I can watch back and go, that's funny. Brian Hazy asks, can you speak Polish? I can speak a little bit of Polish. Troszeczkę. At Steph Brands asks, what do you still want to learn? A skill, for example. I would love to learn to play an instrument other than the drums, because I used to play the drums, but I think I would love to learn like the guitar or the piano. Something that you can kind of, you know, learn that skill and hopefully it stays with you. Or if you ever come across a guitar or a piano, you can just sit down and be like, Pros and cons of vlogging from smartphones. The biggest thing for me is size. I can fit it in my pocket alongside the phone that I do use. I'm more inclined to take them with me, and it means that I'm more inclined to vlog. Also means that because it's smaller and it's just a phone and everybody's filming stuff on phones these days for Instagram stories, Snapchat, whatever, I don't mind filming in public. And people often think that I'm either just FaceTiming someone or it's a lot more discreet. The main con for me is image quality. As soon as it's nighttime, even just indoor lights, it's still like grainy unless you have like studio lights or something set up. At Ren May asks, what's the best joke you've ever heard? Yes, I wouldn't be able to single one down as the best joke that I've ever heard, but what I can tell you is I'll give you my go-to joke. I have a backup joke that when someone says, tell me a joke, this is the joke that I'm going to tell, most likely. So this is the joke. Why do squirrels swim on their backs? To keep their nuts dry. At Josh S. Stanley asks, does Sam prefer beard or no beard? Here's me with beard, and here's me with no beard. The medium length beard is probably the best because then it's not too long and gangly, but it's not too short that it irritates her skin. At Nanox00, oh, it's Conan backwards, nice. I like good usernames on Twitter. What is your favorite book and favorite film? Favorite book. One of my favorite books of all time is a book called Spud, written by John van der Reet. I read that book in a night. I sat down, I started reading it. I didn't tell my parents. When I was supposed to go to sleep, I went to sleep, and then once I knew they were asleep, I literally just sat down and read the whole book. A book that can make me do that has to be my favorite book. And favorite film. My favorite film of all time is a French film called Les Intouchables, The Intouchables in English, and Intouchables isn't a word. Here is the thing. Definitely, if you get the chance to watch it, do that. Also, make sure you got tissues with you. Do you lift, bro? I'm not actually sure exactly what that means. Jander is on fire asks, which is your all-time favorite city in the whole world to visit? I don't know. I've been to a lot of cities that I don't. In terms of actual cities, I'm gonna have to go with Toronto, because Toronto is like a more spacious New York in my opinion, and the people are a lot friendlier. At Seb Telma asks, any news on your DSLR situation? Missing regular Instagram posts from your fingertips. I am getting a new camera soon. I'm not going to discuss it with you guys because there's going to be all sorts of different trains of thought. Everybody has their own personal preferences. I'm going to go and buy the one that I want to buy, and if I've made a mistake, then I'll live with that. But otherwise, I'm just going to go and buy the one that I want. That last little bit of passive aggressiveness wasn't directed at you, Seb. Just... At Happy Nerd Chick asks, what is your absolute most favorite subject to study other than clouds? So geography, does that mean geography doesn't, I'm not allowed geography. If I'm not allowed to use geography, I'm gonna say physics. At Abhorsen Aube asks, what about editing do you like and hate the most? The thing that I love about editing is that it's very organized. There's a structure to it. There's nothing that I really hate about editing, but if I had to put something at the bottom of my list of things that I like, is that it's time consuming. I would like to be able to edit like faster. What sports do you like or practice? I like rugby, but I only enjoy watching rugby. I don't enjoy playing rugby, and I enjoy playing football or soccer, whatever you want to call it. At Danek Vasil asks, the story behind Howzit, guys. When I did my first ever video, which was my spaghetti carbonara video, I honestly had no idea how to start it, and I was like, let's come up with something that's like relatively South African, and South Africans use the term Howzit to ask like, how is it? Like, how is it going? I kind of just used that for the first one, and I went, how's it, guys? No, like today I'm cooking and I tried like do like a nice fancy formal cooking show, and Steve Booker absolutely loved the fact that I'd said, how's it, guys? And whenever he saw me, he would say, how's it, guys? George Benson also hopped on that trend, so I had George Benson and Steve Booker every time I saw them going, how's it, guys? Yeah, off the back of that, that's where it comes from, and it seemed like it was something that was maybe unique to my videos, so I just decided to use that as the opening scene for each of my videos as a little intro, because I didn't do outros. At Marcin Bond asks, okay, explain your Polish roots. Have you been to Poland? Yes, I've been to Poland. My Polish roots. My dad is from Poland. He's born and bred there. Both of his parents are Polish. Unfortunately, my grandfather, my Polish grandfather, has passed away, but my grandmother is still there in Poland. She still lives in Poland with her daughter also living there, and her son-in-law. So my dad's sister and whatever. So those are my kind of roots. My dad came over to South Africa way back when, in like 1983, I think, and met my mom much later. Long story. But that's my Polish history. At Submarina asks, did you have any difficulties with culture in the UK, and how did you deal with it? I didn't really have any difficulties with culture in the UK. I lived in the UK for 3 months before I started working for Ben, and I love the specials that they have. So I mean, that's probably the one main cultural difference that I really enjoyed, is that all the shops there have like meal deals, and I didn't have any issues with the culture in the UK. Josh Hewitt, how's it, Josh? I would probably aspire to be a leek and potato soup. I love leek and potato soup with like ham hock in there as well. That's a really good one. What's your favorite camera? I'm gonna say it's the Canon 5D Mark IV or the Sony A7S Mark II. At Lansky B asks, bicycle pocket, and why do you always have that pink flamingo with you on trips? Lawrence, this is an orange flamingo. Okay, his name is Mango. It's very special to me. We got him at VidCon in 2016 or 2015, and he just became a thing. That's just how it happened. Serkeko asks, where to store ketchup? Ketchup goes in the cupboard, okay? Because otherwise, when you take it out the fridge, it's cold. and your chips are hot. At Scoochie asks, how does NASA organize a party? They plan it. Scott. He also asks, briefs or boxes? Briefs for during the day, boxes for night. At Jazzy Flints asks, scrunch or fold? T-shirts, fold. Anything that goes in the underwear drawer, scrunch. Would you be open to the idea of a meet and greet in England? Yes. I'd actually be open to a meet and greet in South Africa, but I don't want to host one and then no one comes. So it's there, the thought is there. I would be open to it, yes. At Sam Fraser 29 asks, would you consider upgrading from using a phone to vlog to a G7X type point and shoot? Yes, I would. I love the G7X. That's one of my favorite like vlogging cameras, but the only problem is that they don't seem to last that long. Like Ben was replacing it every 2 or 3 months. In South Africa, that's a 8,260 Rand camera with free delivery. Yeah, I don't feel like it's worth spending that much money on a camera that you have to continually replace, and I'm not willing to drop that money on that camera to find out whether it was just Ben's ones or the way that he used them or whatever. So yeah. Where did your love for geography come from? Yeah, it's quite funny how it came about. It was in grade 9. So when I was 15 years old, and my geography teacher at the time was Miss Gray. She was one of those teachers that would ask a question in class, no one would answer, but instead of then just giving us the answer, she would wait until someone would answer the question. So Miss Gray would be like, well, what are the 3 types of rocks, you know? And we'd all just be sitting there like, and she didn't single anyone out. She just waited until someone volunteered. So our lessons seemed to drag on forever because it was just filled with silence. I decided to be the guy. I was just like, I know what types of rocks there are. There you go, there's the answer. And then we move on to the next phase. And through that, I think she actually developed my love for geography because I was like, the more I know this, the faster we can get through the lessons and the more free time we can have. My subsequent teachers after that were also all really good teachers. So, and it's a practical skill. Geography can be applied in everyday life. So, I mean, if I go hiking, and Cape Town's great, like you can go hiking in the mountains, it's like, oh, look at this rock formation or whatever. I'm like, I know how that happened. Does anybody want to know? And then they're all like, shut up, Matthew. And I'm like, oh, okay. At Jess & Co asks, what's your favorite Dota 2 hero? Current favorite Dota 2 hero? Probably Weaver. C.A. Hig asks, is Paul Rudd your long lost American dad because you look just like him? I've actually got that before. I've had a few people tell me that I look like Paul Rudd. He's a nice looking guy. I don't think he's the sexiest guy that I could look like. At R. Schiebler, Roger asks, how long do you think you'll be vlogging? I think I'll be vlogging for a while, Roger. BM88 asks, do you like olives? Yes, I love olives. Love olives. Great olives. Olives, great. The best. The best. Just love olives. At Laura 10 Bean asks, what kind of music do you listen to and what is the best concert you ever went to? I listen to the like top hits, so whatever is on the popular radio station, that's kind of what I listen to. But yeah, a very varied music taste, so no one specific genre that I would tie myself down to. And best concert I ever went to has to be Dizzy Rascal. But the funny thing is that he was the opening act for Rihanna and he blew my socks right off, out into the water, out from underneath me. Wow, that was, yeah, my favorite concert of all time. At Milo Nicholson asks, do you want to live in SA for the rest of your life or move somewhere different? Look, if I was going to move anywhere, it would only be for a short while. I don't feel like uprooting and moving somewhere. I would kind of go and do a stint, you know, I'd like go live somewhere for 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year, but I would always come back to South Africa. At pdilly89 asks, legalize it? Hashtag 420. Yes, I agree, legalize it. At Tony Macaroni, great name, asks, most underrated place you've ever visited? I'd have to say Namibia. Awesome country, and I don't hear anybody rating it, so that's probably on my list for most underrated. At Cruvens, Sa dude. Sa. At Morgan Jack Smith, can you speak Afrikaans? Ja, ek kan 'n bietjie Afrikaans praat, maar my accent is baie kak. Call me Hannah Zero asks, have you ever visited Poland? Yes. If so, what surprised you there? What surprised me was that it's like really green. In summer, it's beautiful. When I do go to Poland, I'm mostly around Gdańsk, and then we like travel between Gdańsk and Sopot to go to the beaches there. Beautiful beaches. Also, a bit of a surprise. And the most important question, what is your favorite pierogi filling? I had to put an accent on pierogi. I think my favorite one is one that my dad does, which is like, what is it? It's like potato with bacon. Thomas Hudak asks, what's the last picture you took with your phone? I'll put it in here. Choose the Rob asks, could you fight a tribe of infants if you have to? Need to know this for, you know, scientific reasons. How big are they? Do they have weapons? If they're a tribe, they probably have weapons. Yeah, I reckon I could take them. Eric Sommerfeld asks, how did you meet your Norwegian friends? I met my Norwegian friends through a friend of mine named Ben Whitaker. He was friends with them through university. He brought them on a weekend away and we just had a great time. Okay, those are all of the questions from Twitter. Let's see what we've got on YouTube. Abby G asks, what was your favorite part about being at UCT? My favorite thing about being at UCT had to be its location, its proximity to my house, and how many friends I had that also were at UCT. Really helped. Any advice for making the most of your time studying? I would say join clubs and societies. Definitely take advantage of any of them, whether you want to do photography or join the wine society. The wine society is pretty good. On Fridays there's like free wine tastings. It's really good. Eblal again asks, how did you and Sav meet? Was she the business meeting you took many months ago in Ben's vlogs? Yes, Sav was the business meeting. I'll play that clip for you guys now. Okay, so leaving Hudson's, which is over there. The business meeting went, it was pretty good, but you know, nothing signed yet. Of course, you've got to have a couple reconciliation meetings and stuff before you start a merger. The way that we met, it was actually a blind date through a friend of mine. He was having something called the Digs Formal, which is basically a group of students that live together, host a formal where everybody dresses up nicely and you just drink and whatever, and you get a blind date. So I was invited, and then Sav was invited as my date, but she knew who I was and I didn't know who she was. Yeah, that's the short of it. Beric asks, I've never traveled abroad before and I'm going to do so in the near future. What are some of your recommendations on what to bring while traveling to multiple countries? Recommendations: take plug adapters for all the different countries that you're going to. Take a disposable camera if you don't have your own photography setup. When you're traveling, you can't go back and capture things again. Just capture as much of it as you can. You don't have to share it with anyone, capture it for yourself. At Nutty Droid, ASP asks, is SP's beard red? It is slightly red over here and over here. Kevin Moore asks, what's your most favorite video game and why? I would have to say Dota 2. It's a strategical game that also takes skill and practice. The satisfaction of winning a really good game is just, yeah, nothing quite like it. Favorite fast food, if any? Peace, SB. Favorite fast food is KFC. Benji Khan asks, you seem like an entrepreneur. What's your take on the entrepreneurial lifestyle versus the safe desk job? I feel like go for what you're confident in. If you're not confident in doing something entrepreneurial, then don't, because if you're going to do that, you kind of have to commit. You know, you can't sit and dangle your feet in the pool. You kind of have to jump in. That guy called Jack asks, which do you prefer, clouds, doggos, or Sav? Definitely Sav. Also because clouds and doggos aren't watching my videos. Debsy Reeves, what have been your previous careers, jobs, goals, etc. before YouTube? My previous careers, before YouTube I was pretty much just a student. I did some waitering. I've been a production assistant on film sets and photo shoots for brands, like big budget advertising type stuff. And then I was also a salesman when I was up in Leeds. When I was living in Leeds, I did some paintball selling, which was basically getting people to sign up to go play paintball. Number 9 Scrum asks, would you rather fight 25 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck? I would take on the 25 duck-sized horses any day. Last question is from Matty on YouTube. How do you continue to try and be positive every day? That's a tough one because I think everybody's gone through their own tough times, their own struggles. I think each person deals with them in their own way as well. I've definitely had, you know, some lows, some highs and lows in my life. I think a lot of how I am today just kind of has to do with my approach towards everyday things, because I'll still have days where I don't even feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like doing anything. In terms of trying to be positive, I never try to be positive. I don't say, okay, I need to be positive. But what I'll do is I'll try not to let the negative stuff get to me. So I know there's a really nice, I think it's Japanese proverb about how every person has 2 wolves inside them, a black wolf and a white wolf, and the white wolf represents good, everything good that there is in the world, and the black wolf represents everything that is bad in the world, like hatred and death, etc. There's a constant war going on between these 2 wolves, and the Japanese grandpa is telling this to his grandchild, and the grandchild asks him, well, which one wins the war? And the grandpa says, whichever one you feed. So I think that's my kind of my outlook on everyday situations. I look for the positive things. I appreciate everything that's good in my life, and it's about not focusing on negative aspects that don't necessarily deserve the attention that they might be getting. It's a tough one to answer, but I hope that helps. Okay, so I'm going to call it there. I'm going to call it quits. I just want to say thanks to everybody that submitted questions. I really appreciate that I got so many questions. To be honest, I wasn't expecting that many. So I've been filming for like almost 2 hours now, so I'm getting a little bit tired. And I feel like any questions I answer now aren't getting the same amount of enthusiasm and energy that the earlier ones were getting. So I'll do another Q&A at a later stage. And yeah, so apologies if your question wasn't included.